Cloud Underground, and
Yes.
we made a thing. So, what did we make?
We made basically our own digital employee.
Wow.
Super exciting.
Is it new or is it not new?
It's new.
Well, that's the trick question. We've been building the same technology since 2020, and actually, a lot of what it was built on started in 2016, off of a lot of other things that started even earlier than that. But the main project that we've been working on started in 2020, and at first we thought we were building a cloud, and then we realized that the backbone that makes the cloud work, because in order to replace something like AWS or Azure, what makes AWS or Azure different from on-prem? If you have on-prem self-hosted servers, then you need to have your own IT staff, or you are your own IT staff, and someone has to go mess with the cables and mess with the servers and the boxes. So AWS and Azure and cloud and things like that, when you're using that, ultimately what you're getting is a bunch of human beings behind a UI, because they have a team that does it all so that you don't have to think about it. And then for the end user, it just feels like magic. If you click on things and it works. So our first goal was to teach cloud by building cloud, but the catch was what became more valuable was the thing that allowed us to do that without having that back end of people. So what it turned out is we actually had to engineer, as crazy as this sounds, a robotics engine, and that robotics engine lives in the back behind the underground nexus and allows it to run. And then we realized that that robotics engine actually is more powerful than the cloud aspect of our product. And then we realized that we could make robots with it, so we made our own employee, and it actually can just do work for us. So
Yeah. We're gonna
yeah,
show this off today. That's what we're doing here today. So we're gonna
that's right.
get into it. Okay.
Now,
Here
some
we are.
inspiration while we're getting into this. I had this idea. I've always enjoyed things like I was a big fan of like Star Trek and science fiction things, and you like science fiction too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I
Huge
just,
fan.
yeah, I just remember they talked to the computer, and I remember they're like, "Hello, computer." And if you ever saw like the Star Trek movies, like they go back in time and they're trying to talk to the computer, and they can't talk to the computer in the '90s. And so they're like, "Hello, computer,"
Classic.
and it didn't do anything. So we were like, "Wait a minute. What if we could make just computers conversational, not in the way of like, okay, sure you can talk to AI and things like that, but what if you could have it fulfill things around your house? What if you could have it write software for you? Now, of course, you have to start doing things like having physical mechanisms in your house and things like that. And believe it or not, a lot of what we started and trying to support 3D printing and molding and things like that, which is technically manufacturing. And then I come from a manufacturing background before that.
Mm-hmm.
So we come from, having physical appliances with arms doing things and all this stuff, automation that is not just digital automation. So we realized, especially in my situation, we always need me for like everything, and it's very hard for me to get a break. Isn't that right? Like,
It's
do
true.
you know
Yeah.
how to do a lot of the stuff I know how to do?
Not the engineering side of things, no.
Well, there you go. And so then, as a result, I've even tried to go and get help from different engineers and things like that. And it's not that I can't find someone who can do some of what I do, but if I don't want to hire like 10 people, or what if I just need to get something done and I have a week? There's no way I'm going to hire 10 people in a week, get the budget organized within a week. Like that's just not reasonable.
Mm.
And so there came a point where there just wasn't enough of all of the different things that I knew to go around. So I thought, could I make something capable of doing all of the things that I can do, or at least the majority of a lot of things that people need me for, so that people can not need me and have more freedom and autonomy to do the types of things I provide, which then we're like, well, if that's the case, if I do things like help companies be, more compliant, help them be
Mm-hmm.
more secure, help them do a lot of the boring stuff that most business owners hate. You don't like doing that financial paperwork. And if you think that you don't do any financial paperwork, then you haven't been doing taxes. And if you've never done taxes, you're probably not running a real business. So, I mean, that alone, that's boring things, very boring things. So I tend to automate these types of things for folks. And as a company grows and scales, and then you pass $10 million in annual recurring revenue, inevitably, just trying to do everything yourself is never going to cut it. And that even includes for me. So, we had a lot of trouble finding people who could do a lot of the things we could do. So, Laura, go ahead and pull up. Oh, well, actually, before you do that,
Yeah.
some things about this. We made it so that you can create a file. So this is actually kind of new. So I actually just reorganized some of this, but I'm making it prettier right now. I just have a few files, but bear with me.
And I guess I'll also say this. So we're currently working in a Nexus Creator Vault, which you can learn how to build your own Nexus Creator Vault in CloudJam, which is a course that you can take, choose your own price, and that's linked in the description of this video. So yeah, you can build your own Nexus Creator Vault and do all the things. Well,
I want to tell them what I'm doing.
Okay. Tell them what you're doing.
So basically, if you wanted to create a way to basically do anything. So let's say that I wanted to teach people how to do things. So we actually made a game called Dungeons and Desktops, which we'll talk about more later. But this game, you need a game master. It's like Dungeons and Dragons, but Dungeons and Desktops, because that's a desktop, that's not a dragon. Let's be honest.
Yes.
So we can't, and also, we don't own Dungeons and Dragons. We own Dungeons and Desktops. So anyways, you can go and create your own rules and things of that nature, where I can put in stuff that is from me, things that I know, and stuff that normally I'd attempt to explain to people or help them with that they just don't understand. And maybe it takes 4 months for me to train people. You heard me right. 4 months to train people on some of what I know, and actually more realistically about 4 years to get people to know a little more of what I know. And I have folks who I've been working with for over 4 years. And while that's a lot, it seemingly takes even more than that. And to be fair, I have started working with like machine learning architectures and things like that, and automation and data centers over 10 years ago. So even I had to spend a lot of time learning a lot of that, being out in the field, and it's hard to replace experience. So folks easily need 4 years of experience just to become proficient. Realistically, 5 years is about what it takes to get mastery in just some of these niches, and I actually have more along the lines of 20 years in general technology, where my niche is more specialized in cybersecurity, forensics, and compliance and governance. I have a skill set for governing basically. So most of my clients are things like military, government, really vast, large ecosystems, things that have to govern an entire country. People have like millions of users. That's where my skills shine. If someone doesn't have millions of users and things like that, then I don't have, my skills aren't as valuable. Yeah. So you can go and put your files in here for stuff that you might not even understand. So, okay, now let's go ahead and pull up the twin.
Okay. Just looking at the LinkedIn chat. Hey, everyone, for showing up. Thanks for being here. Okay.
And actually, there's an easier way. Close that.
Okay.
You got to go back to just hit the back arrow. It says back.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, so right-click back there. Open terminal here.
Okay.
Okay, so normally if you wanted to write code, you would have to know code. Type. So we haven't simplified the commands yet, so this is just a demo showing like what we just completed. But go ahead and this is Python based, so type Python 3.
Oops. Watch my terrible typing skills. Python 3. Okay.
Space, and then you have to type type chat tab, enter. Tab. Yeah. And then what this is going to do is it's going to take the information that we've given it. And you can give it rules, you can give it requirements, you can give it recommendations.
And it's just anything you put in that folder, right? That index folder, it's going to just read anything in there.
It gives it its behavior, and there's more to it than that. So there are ways to make it more efficient. There are ways to make it faster. That's a whole nother story. So if someone's paying us, then a lot of what we do is help tune it all, set it up, make it ready for you to do things. And what does it allow? just like Star Trek, if you want to be like, hey, computer, one thing that we are adding that's, I guess, not added to this, we have a voice capability too, where, if someone were to be a customer, they can actually use their voice instead of typing to it. But we're going to type to it right now because a lot of that it's like a configuration journey. But you'll get the idea just from this. And let's make the text nice and big.
Good plan. So someone's asking, is it an Underground Nexus to be precise? So this is actually a Nexus Creator Vault, which is the dev version of the Underground Nexus.
So the whole thing is, the Underground Nexus is now like a large, vast platform. So it's a DevSecOps platform that it's like backed by a robotics engine. The robotics engine is what allows it to not just do things with digital automations and physical automations, but it is Underground Nexus. Mm-hmm. And then if you were to, CloudJam tells you how to set up this environment right here with dev. So there's a command, just dev, when you're using the Underground Nexus's package manager, and then it will actually build this environment that we're looking at right here. It's actually fully open source. What we're showing in terms of this index right here, that part's not open source. That's something that we're working on at this time. That's currently mostly for enterprise. But even if you're not an enterprise, I mean, you could probably use ChatGPT with CloudJam or something, or just it has its own built-in AI. You don't even need ChatGPT. It has its own built-in AI that can code, and also we integrated a number of other things. But as you can see here,
and the AI that lives within it is completely private. It's only contained to this environment.
Correct.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons for that is there was something that we did a long time ago that I never really talked about when we built the Underground Nexus. One day we suddenly just released this thing called, basically, at first it was called the Zero Trust Cockpit, mm-hmm. and then we called it the Nexus Creator Vault. But it's actually still called the Zero Trust Cockpit, and the Nexus Creator Vault is a specific tag of this Zero Trust Cockpit, because what it uses is Zero Trust networking to allow you to integrate something like an MCP server, where if you're just using, say, like an MCP server, it stands for Master Control Protocol, which gives you master control that you can hand over to a little AI system. Well, if you were to install that on your own system, then that means it can invasively just run commands on your own system. As a matter of fact, if it breaks your own system, that's no fun. Underground Nexus actually has a way to just type. So if you wanted, let's say that you wanted to just start all over again, you can type dev-rebuild, and it will actually rebuild everything. So it's very easy to like wipe out anything that this does. But Laura, mm-hmm. Go ahead and show them that basically this will do things for you. So right now, by default, you have to be the approver and the validator of everything that it does. You can turn that off. You can go into the code. It has a little governing configuration in the files, but by default, we don't let it just run code by itself. So, and like I said, right now we're going to type to it instead of use the voice mode. So go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like Star Trek. The only limitation at the moment is you have to type instead of just talk to it. But you can
unless
conversationally
you pay enough money for
it.
us to configure the talk component,
which we can do.
If you're an enterprise, then we can make it like Star Trek Enterprise.
Fully like Star Trek.
Anyways, there you go. Hey,
Star Trek Enterprise. Yes.
So, anyways, as you can see here, it says ask questions, so you can talk to it, or you can use this run mm-hmm. to have it basically be your engineer for you, and it'll do things for you if you understand what's going on. So go ahead and show what happens. So basically, we've given it it's a nervous system for your entire mm-hmm. whatever you're configuring. It uses Zero Trust networking to allow it to control different things, and it actually does more than just talk on this little MCP server. It has a whole API gateway that's attached to all of this. So it's a backend. It's a deep, vast backend for managing infrastructure, servers, and letting your AI govern in an actual compliant way. So we actually use real information with that little index, because that way it's not just making things up to reduce the likelihood of
finish what you're saying.
Oh, if you run htop, it'll exit the chat and you'll have to.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess
we'll try it.
I guess
know.
we'll see what happens. We can always go back to it.
Yeah, it should do it. We'll see what it does. Will it take over this little thing here? What will it do?
Yeah, so it's basically, of course, we all know. I thought htop would be a simple thing because
htop is running behind this because this is a front
end. Okay, so maybe that wasn't a great example.
You can back out of it.
Okay. Back out of it.
Oh no! Well, now we have to do it over anyway. So the thing is, it is machine learning based, so we do have to train it and raise it like a baby. And so then we do that for basically enterprises who use this, that we learn from the enterprise what they need, what their compliance requirements are, what they need automated. Then we are part of the process of helping it learn. So as it learns with us, from the customer, then eventually we just remove ourselves. So we're there for the stand up, and we're there for its early days of starting to understand a few things and do stuff. Then eventually it just does its thing. So it does have to learn more. We have one that's specifically trained up for certain things. Yeah. But,
yep, for sure.
Anyway, sometime we'll have to.
Well,
starting it is the slow part.
It takes a few minutes, like anything. It just takes a minute or two to get started. But again, you can basically build out any instructions that you'd want to put into your AI. You can make spreadsheets and put that in. I think that's probably ultimately the best way because it's easier for it to read spreadsheets than just like text docs. But it's pretty amazing. You can train it with whatever information you want to use to train it.
And then it will do this thing. And so I guess what it's doing, because I had set it up earlier, and anyways, but what it's doing is it takes the data in here, and then it goes and crunches this data. It also keeps track of the conversation that was had. So anyways, once it's done,
it creates logs of everything.
Then I'll show you. But normally it would just be running continuously just in the background and doing its thing. And then you can go and access it from... Technically, you can actually access it outside of the little virtual desktop. There are different ways to access it. So you can basically... The shell here that is spinning with the little building index thing where you can talk to it, it's remotely accessible. So you can make that shell be accessed from different things, and you can work with it. And then also, like I mentioned before, is you can configure it to work with voice. So if you're trying to make it do like terminal things, since it's already using the terminal, then it's kind of better to get it to do the results. Because I'll show you what you were trying to do. So Here's what happened earlier is, let's see, view. So htop is something that if you're trying to have it run htop, then that runs
it does take over
invisibly behind the chat. So then you can't even see if it's running it anyway.
Okay.
So it's not that that's a bad thing to run. It just...
and honestly, what I want to say too is I was more just trying to show off the fact that you can say like, oh, I want you to do something. And as long as you have that run command ahead of it, it will, do its best to do that.
So the run command, basically when you're in here and you want it to do something for you, could say, I'll just do something simple. Give me a list of all files that live in the / or root directory, including hidden files. So if you don't know how to do this type of thing, or you're trying to get like a basic report, it'll sit there and then it'll tell you, what it's going to go run. And then you can choose if you want it to do that. Let's see. And then I guess, well, let's try this again. Let's see. Let's just ask about the local directory. Please tell me what files live in my current directory.
I love how polite you are to the robots.
Be polite to the robots. There. So anyway, so if it has something that has a little error, sometimes it'll give you a little status. You can ask it about the errors too. So you can ask it, why did that command from from before fail with ls-a space slash, and then it'll sit there and it'll think about it. And then depending on the hardware that you're using or whatever you're using, then it'll come up with whatever it's saying. And while it's doing that, obviously you can sit and look at its metrics, but there's a more interesting way to see what's going on with it. So the entire engine has, let's see, if we go over to the Chromium web browser,
Mhm.
oh, actually, restore. So one of the things that's kind of just built into this is it has an intelligence center with forensics data, and you can actually give this data to it as well if you want it to know everything about what's going on. But this right here will give you an idea of how many resources it's using while it's doing whatever it's doing, because it does lots of things. And then also it has a more monitored section inside of the environment. So like there's a little sample WordPress engine in there, just showing that you can go and monitor, what's going on. It shows that there's more going on with this WordPress that lives somewhere deep down inside this little ecosystem. It is also oddly an underground cloud, so you can actually host applications, websites, whatever you're building straight from here. Now, we don't necessarily focus on that part. We are builders of backends and data sets. We build intelligence mostly, and intelligence that allows you to build automations and control and govern machines. So we spend our time making the machines be controllable and more controllable, while other people are the ones who make pretty front ends that do cool things, and allow you to do whatever you're trying to do. So anyways, while it's doing its thing, it'll tell you what's going on with the resources. And as I was mentioning earlier, there's things that you can do to tune its performance. This is basically just a little sandbox testing environment, just to kind of give you an idea of what we've been working on. And so demo environments, at some point we'll probably like go and put through the effort of making like a real polished demo that is a little more production ready or closer to like what it would be for production. But just to be blunt, like we completed a lot of this like literally this week.
Yeah.
So
And we're just like so excited.
This
We're
just
like,
happened.
We have to put it out there.
Now all we really
Now
have
we're
to
just
do is work
refining.
on the performance.
Yeah.
All the stuff we just did is the hard part. And once again, we build like backends for machines and automation layers. And if you wanted to have an entire factory that was very centrally managed, where it's monitoring all the data, you've got a way to make sure that everything's able to talk in a secure way. One of the other things about this is it works in offline environments, and maybe that's one of the first things that I should say about this is
Yes.
It's one of the only cloud type technologies that allows you to basically even use this little index system and all these things just in an offline environment. So most of our customers, realistically, or at least most of the customers that I personally work with, because I work with more than just Cloud Underground customers, is a lot of like military, dark site type things like power grids. And so, I mean, this is nothing new for me. I've been doing that type of work for over 10 years. So, I mean, I don't know, like missile silos and power grids, they generally, a lot of that infrastructure is kept offline because you don't want those to get breached. And you don't want, cloud gets hacked very much so.
Yeah.
I think there's this misconception that if you're using public cloud, that public cloud is somehow secure and that you're never going to get breached. The reality is anything that's online is incredibly breachable these days. And sure, someone would have to be skilled enough and targeting you, but this is built to also work for someone who wants a 100% offline environment. That's really one of the things that's kind of the special factor of that. It also means that your data is private.
Yeah.
Everything you ask it is private. The things that you give it are private. It's not like ChatGPT where you're handing ChatGPT data, you're giving it information. This is basically your data, your intelligence. And then we made this game. Let's see. So you can say, I want to play Dungeons and Desktops.
And also, as you can see, it did answer our question. Obviously, it was.
Well, there you go. It'll try
Yeah.
to figure out what went wrong.
It's probably a permissions error or something.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah, it says.
It is a permissions
typically,
error.
the output of ls-a will show all the files within a directory, but running this command on the root directory should not result in an error, assuming the file system is functioning properly. It's possible that there was an issue with the environment or permissions when the command was executed, or perhaps it wasn't intended.
Well, it doesn't have root access, and we asked it to go look at root.
Yeah.
And it's not allowed to look at root.
So it failed.
So it couldn't look at root. There you go.
And then it knew exactly, well, not exactly.
And then when
well,
I had it look
able
at
to
its
kind
own
of
index,
infer
it does have permission to its own index. Well, that's a security measure right there. So as you can
security.
see, we did not let it just run amok and just do whatever it wants. But after, well, if I'm telling it that you want to play Dungeons and Desktops, it'll help you play Dungeons and Desktops. Dungeons and Desktops turns basically building infrastructure into a game. And also, we decided that compliance is really boring. And so if you want to do something like a risk assessment, we're going to be making some quests where risk assessments are really incredibly dry and boring to complete. And I help people complete risk assessments. And for the life of me, I can't get many people to care about the process until it's done. So then ultimately, I end up being the one who gets paid doing the risk assessments. So I'm like, okay, I get paid to do risk assessments because it's a really boring thing that people hate doing that really is a game changer for your business. Because how can you make better decisions if you don't have something that helps you understand what risks you're facing, understanding your inventory, all these things? Like I said, we're working on the performance. So right now it's going to take a little longer than, we're optimizing it still. But ultimately, yeah, it's like it'll basically it'll guide you through how to do your risk assessment, and then if you need to do scans on your environment, it'll do whatever it has permission to do. So I guess that's one thing I should have been thinking about is I need to make sure that its permissions aren't too strict. But of course, like I said, we just finished making this, and so right now its permissions are incredibly strict. It doesn't have full access to all kinds of things yet. So anyway. The more because it does get smarter, the more we work with it, it's also still in the process of learning. And hey, it's a machine learning thing. So it's going to take some time for us to finish refining its little knowledge base.
Yeah.
And so then, like, for example, if we work with an enterprise, that's pretty much the main thing we do is just sit there and help it learn until it matures. I mean, it really, in some senses, it's a little bit like an employee because you have to train an employee and you do have to train this thing. The difference is you control the training sets and data sets, and it doesn't forget things. So right here, it's giving us information about how we can play Dungeons and Desktops. It says that you're going to start your. We already are in there. I removed some of its context, but anyways.
So it's giving us instructions on how to connect to it.
I will say, here's how this works. So we have one file that tells it a little bit about how to conduct being Dungeons and Desktops, or how to be the AI game master, for example. But one thing that I haven't put in there that I'm still working on the performance of because it still needs some performance adjustments. Let's see, documents. Where is that thing that I put? Oh, it's over here. So we have a test index over here, and this one has all of the files for making the Dungeons and Desktops actually work. So actually the main thing that makes Dungeons and Desktops work is the rule book. And so right now it doesn't have the rule book. So if I wanted it to know the rules, I would want to, so this is just an idea of like, how do you teach it? So if I wanted it to learn the rules, because right here it doesn't yet know that it's the game master. It says, follow the game master's instructions. Okay, so let's go ahead and make an adjustment. Actually, you know what?
Hmm.
This one's already set up and it's dreadfully slow. But anyways, I'm just going to copy this. It'll actually learn slowly if you just copy the file and put it in the location where that thing is anyway. So I'm just going to put it in there for now. So let's teach it a little more, right? Let's teach it how to conduct being the game master for Dungeons and Desktops. Going to go and move the file to the right location. Where did I put the files? Knowing the location, you can make the location whatever you want. Right now, it's in a place that I put it. Let's see, there it is. I put it in this folder here. So if I just add this, it's going to take a little bit of time to read everything. So if I just paste this, it's still not going to know the rules for a little bit. So basically
Hmm.
now, as soon as I paste that, it's now going to go and sit and start reading the Dungeons and Desktops rulebook. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a feed that makes Dungeons and Desktops a constant maintained program
Hmm.
where as long as you're paying for a subscription, we're going to be releasing monthly updates and monthly quests for Dungeons and Desktops. So I'm not really worried about if anyone learns our grand idea now, because really what you're paying for from us is that we maintain its intelligence. And part of our process of maintaining its intelligence is we're going to be adding quests for ways for you to do things using these Dungeons and Desktop quests. And also, it's a good way to train your staff. And realistically, this is a thing that works with your team too.
And
It's an assistant.
what are people going to learn from doing Dungeons and Desktops?
So that is going to help you learn whatever your business goal is. So I guess the main goal of Dungeons and Desktops. Let's see. Does it tell us this already in here? It's written down somewhere. I've done so many things. My brain. So
Yeah,
let me
I
just
mean,
open the rule book.
when you get the when it starts acting as like the game master, it gives you all of
Yeah,
the
it gives you
stuff.
this introduction as the game master. I guess I could just start the other. I have one that's set up. I could do that. But anyways, it has this introduction that it'll give you. Basically, welcome to Dungeons and Desktops from Cloud Underground, a tabletop style educational training game inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. In this game, the player embarks on a quest to and back up software product, build and back up a software product using a virtual Ubuntu desktop. As crazy as it sounds, I actually wrote this myself. Some people keep telling me that I sound like AI. That's your problem. I wrote this by hand.
And that's a big thing that
I write
we're
this myself, so
yeah, that we're
I write the rules.
that's a big part of it for us is like the human intelligence piece, you know?
Yes,
Like
we
the
do our own
AI
writing.
is helpful and can do a lot, but it's also, you know, if you don't like the vibe coding thing has been a great example of all this. You know, it's you can totally go and start building an app or whatever, and then when something breaks, you ask the AI to fix it, and then the AI fixes that thing, and then breaks a bunch of other stuff. And if you don't have the background in software engineering or coding to be able to kind of understand what it's doing, then you're just introducing more problems constantly that you're not going to know how to fix. And that's why so many people get frustrated with their vibe coding projects and end up abandoning them eventually because you know you have to have a certain amount of knowledge, but also you know the context is important. So
Yeah, so I don't know if it's finished learning what's in the rule book yet, because that's what causes it to become the game master. So in the rule book, when you give an AI rules, AI will just explicitly follow those rules. So we've been testing the rule book lately. And if you launch it with the rule book, it actually won't do anything else because in the rule book, I told it that it's not allowed to stop being the game master until the players won the game. So in order to win the game, you have to build a product and then back that product up. And then once you've backed that product up, then you've officially
and and the AI is not going to do it for you. It's going to
no.
help you. It's going to give you advice and like give you some helpful pieces as you go through the each step of the process.
And it'll
But
run
you're going
code
to
for
have
you.
to do it yourself. You know,
Yeah,
it's not going to.
your idea. You have to come up with the idea. So you're going to come up with a product, a digital product, and it'll help you brainstorm. You can ask it
Yeah.
questions about the brainstorming and what you might want to do. Um, and so it's thinking and still reading the rule book and all those things. So, anyways, like I said, you have to teach this thing, and it can take a good week or so to like get it snappy and thinking well and
Yeah.
doing all the
Get it
things
all
that it
refined.
does. Because, like I said, it's like training an employee, but training people versus training machines is just a very different thing.
Yeah.
And then once again, we write it by hand and write it ourselves, and then we make the decisions. The AI just does nothing but carry things out, and then it has its own API gateway system where I have to continue writing a few rules for helping it understand how that works. We actually wrote a code language for it to help you with, and so you ask it questions, so it'll help you code conversationally, and that's kind of the whole idea. So some of that, once again, right now, all we're doing is just kind of training these things up until it's trained up enough to start releasing a few different packages. Then we're going to release a subscription for people who want continuous intelligence, where basically, as you know, we refine our own models and stuff like that. Then you get ongoing intelligence where it actually works with more than just the AI engine in here. So believe it or not, if you prefer to use ChatGPT, our solution isn't the AI. Our solution is the brain the AI uses. So it could be confusing. Did we make an AI? No, we did not make an AI because it's a commodity. And we're like, why do we need to have a commodity?
Oh,
Okay.
it's ready.
It's ready?
Awesome.
Oh.
It says, as your wise and supportive game
Yes!
master, I have
It
been
learned.
thoroughly studying the rules of our adventure.
Yes!
The Dungeons and Desktops, the quest for software mastery. Let us embark on this journey together. I am here to guide you through every step as we create either a software demo or a virtual lab tailored to your role.
There we go.
Now, my dear adventurer, let's set sail and choose your path, engineer or educator.
Yeah.
Once you've made your decision, our first quest will commence.
So just kind of reinforcing, even though you can use ChatGPT or Gemini or any of these other AI engines with this, so you can play Dungeons and Desktops with ChatGPT using this index engine and ecosystem. This is a private, self-hosted AI kit that goes with this intelligent, sort of like a brain and like spinal cord configuration, where we have zero trust networking to operate as somewhat of like a nervous system where AI just carries signals back and forth. That's really all we use AI for. I think it can be tempting to think that AI should be the thing that runs things. We're not doing it. We let AI transmit signals and basically handle small snippets of transactions. Ultimately, we believe that the human should be driving the intelligence of the business. The human should be making the decisions. And that's also why we have, by default, this approval thing. You probably noticed when we were asking it, I wonder if it'll still code while you're playing the game. Usually when you play Dungeons and Desktops, if the rules don't allow you to use something, and I didn't give it rules that it's allowed to allow you to have it help you code, then it won't let you do it. And so you actually have to go and add things and be like, you're allowed to do this thing. and then also if you add more files to it for it to learn from, and then you don't update the rule book, if you don't update the rule book, then it will still refuse to let you engage with anything that is outside of the rule book. So we wrote it in a specific way. And actually, this just kind of comes from my background, because I come from doing machine learning over 10 years ago. And so really, AI comes... I mean, I don't know if I ever really talk about what AI is. I'll try to find like a really, without getting super technical, how can I explain what AI does?
Yeah.
Machine learning, in its essence, is where you basically have some form of a process that makes a list from something that is kind of being recorded. So let's say that you want to record processes on a computer, and you want every process that runs on a computer to generate a list. And anytime anything else shows up, add it to the list. That's like machine learning. Now, let's say that you have machine learning where now you're generating many lists. And then all of a sudden, every list is maybe part of a different type of data set. And then let's say that you want to have some way to try to get insights or correlations from like all of these different things. AI basically looks at all of these different data sets that are machine generated, and then it generates its own insights. And if that's not an insight generated by a human, then that is an artificial insight. And then if lists of generated data is considered intelligence, then anytime you have insights generated from machine generated lists, then you get a form of artificial intelligence. Now it's really dumbed down.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more complex than that. But we don't really have time for like a college lecture sort of a thing.
That's not what we're here for.
Yeah. That's right. So anyway, it's kind of funny. I spent more time with like threat intelligence and like criminals and stuff like that, and like how you use that sort of thing to like cross correlate criminal activity. But we were like, well, we can use this stuff for something other than like criminals or whatever. It's letting us continue the game. What did you ask it?
I told it I was an educator.
Oh wow! So you chose to be an educator.
I chose to be an educator. Let's see. Oh wow. Okay, so I said I'm an educator. It said, "Greetings, esteemed educator." I love how it talks to you. It's so fun. Welcome to Dungeons and Desktop, the quest for software mastery. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's giving us a whole lot of stuff. Should I just read it or
go for it?
Okay.
Why not?
In this thrilling adventure, you shall create a virtual lab that teaches computer science or cybersecurity lessons, unveiling the mysteries of coding and technology. First, let us delve into the world of the Underground Nexus. Yay! Here you will embark on an educational journey of step-by-step quests tailored to your chosen role as an educator. Together, we shall explore themes, create engaging lessons, and immerse ourselves in the realm of knowledge sharing. Your first quest awaits, the artifact of education. In this mission, you will organize your lesson materials into thematic sections for optimal understanding by students. Your objective is to structure your virtual lab's content in a logical manner. Okay. Narrative. Unite the fragments of knowledge scattered across time and space within your artifact,
wow.
making it accessible and organized for all learners. Create folders for each lesson topic or subject area. So I guess you got to figure out what it is you're making first, and then organize it.
We should ask it. Hold on.
Yeah, go for it. Knowledge once shared will illuminate countless minds. Oh, it's so fun. Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. So this is coming back to, kind of the conversational aspects of coding with this particular AI.
Okay, let's see if the rules will allow it. I think I put the rules to where it should be allowed to help you. We'll find out. It has permissions to the desktop. I know that. So
Yeah.
After the thing that we did earlier, I'm like, oh, permissions. So it should have the permissions to go and run this. So do you want to allow it to do that, or do you?
I feel like it strangely made that.
You probably don't. Just try it.
Okay.
Do you want to try it, or do you not?
We'll try it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see. It's saying. Oh, you know what?
The command that it creates.
I think the spaces. It doesn't like spaces. Let's try this again.
Yes.
Run. Okay. Please make a desktop folder. I guess I don't need to say please. Called.
Perfect. Let's see how it does with that.
All right. Let's see what it does.
Yeah.
Okay, true. That looks better.
That looks way better. Okay.
And so that there's a reason why we have this approval process. And then now go see if it did it. Did it create the folder for you?
All right, let's find out.
So it's going to help you play your game.
I don't
see it. Okay. Well, maybe we have to make some adjustments.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
did it make it in config folder, do you think? Yeah, there it is. I just put it in the wrong folder.
Oh. Well, it made the folder.
It made the folder.
And for that matter, I guess you can move it. Access denied. Oh, there's not permission there? Really? Permissions stuff. That's probably why I didn't put it there. Okay, well, permissions. Well, as you can see, that's one of the things that I clearly need to adjust because I've made it way too rigid from a permission standpoint. It clearly works, but the permissions are clearly complicated.
There you go. Yeah, like you can have it make you a folder. So that's pretty cool.
I wonder because I didn't maybe I didn't specify it well enough. Please make a desktop folder. Okay.
Oh yeah, because in the other one it did try to do that.
Well, anyways, this is interesting to me. I like development, so it's because
It's like half the fun.
we made it. It's kind of this is really the first time we've really spent a lot of time other than developing it. Development is the boring part, and so like seeing how it works is kind of exciting because
It is exciting.
we've been spending I don't know how long making this. Please make the folder live on my user desktop. Which should be, let's see, so I guess it would be like a desktop. So let's see if the permissions are too strict, if it'll get there. Oh no, I didn't do it right. Okay, now
you forgot to do the use.
Now it's gonna
the
sit there
command.
and continue the Dungeons and Desktops questions. So, anyways, you get the idea. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is what it does. It'll help you do your work. It'll help you code. It will work with whatever AI engine you want. Right now, we're using Mistral, but you can make it work with Llama 3. You can make it work with ChatGPT. You can make it work with Gemini because the AI part is not our product. We just decided that AI is too much of a commodity that's just not interesting to us to do quite literally exactly what everyone else is already doing. And if everyone else is already doing the same thing, why don't we just benefit from that?
Yeah.
So we made something that works with any AI, whether it's self-hosted, whether it's private, and this doesn't require tokens. So if you don't want to deal with tokens, then you can use the self-hosted environment. So the index can be connected with API tokens to whatever you're trying to use it with. So it's just a portable structure that then will allow you to have the ability to control certain things. You can also make it have certain schedules that it'll do, or if let's say that you have certain company requirements to do stuff, it'll help maintain security for you. You could even integrate it with something and say that it's allowed to automatically shut down malware, for example. Just random stuff. It's whatever you want. Malware is just a cybersecurity. I come from cybersecurity, so I always think about like security examples.
We've got a couple questions. One is any of your code on GitHub?
Yes, the code is mostly on GitHub. If you look for Underground Ops, Underground Nexus, you'll find. Well, actually, just the easiest way is CloudJam. If you go to CloudJam, it just takes you. It gives you examples of how it all works. But it's all on GitHub too. If you didn't want to use CloudJam, you could just go to GitHub. But we have better guidance in CloudJam. We made CloudJam to try to make it easier to provide guidance on how to use it all.
Yeah. And the link to CloudJam is in the description of this video. So go check that out. And then someone else asked, what if you don't say please? I think it'll still respond.
It'll still
respond.
I
love how polite you are, though. I've like cut that all out of all my like AI because I'm like, the AI doesn't care. This is probably just wasting energy, but I love how polite you are.
It's wasting precious processing.
Yes.
Making it take slightly longer to process, right?
That's right. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
But yeah, so it's a thing that once you get it set up, it's a flywheel model. If anyone's ever heard of a flywheel is something that it's like a big spinning thing that's hard to turn, and if you push it once, it'll start spinning, and then it'll slow down. And if you give it another push, it spins a little faster, and then if you keep pushing it, then eventually it'll just start going, and then that's how we achieve a self-driving model. And so it's designed to build self-driving businesses, really. So if you want self-driving functions in your business, that whole validation process where you have to decide what it's allowed to do, you have to decide what's okay, you have to train it, you have to tune it, or pay us and we'll go and do all that for you. And if you're a big enterprise company, then that helps your big enterprise company become more seamless, because then doesn't matter if you've got complex compliance, maybe you have some complex governance, maybe you want to enforce certain things for how people access environments. Maybe there's certain things that are like little tiny annoying tasks that you're sick of doing and you want it to not require you to approve stuff. Then you can be like, okay, you're allowed to do this. And it'll control things regardless of geological location. That's why it uses zero trust networking as a default way of being able to achieve things. And so then, yeah, and then you can choose to keep it 100% offline. So you can build a smart home with it, and then over time it'll become smarter with your smart home. And because it's all private and self-hosted, you're not literally leaking your home security privacy data. If you've got like a Ring doorbell system and you have information from your like video camera going like into your network, you don't want that to go to ChatGPT or something that's not super secure, super private. If you have like, I don't know, baby monitor data, you probably don't want that data getting out. Let's just be really honest about that. So it's self-hosted first. It's private first. And guess what? We don't collect your data. Hey!
Yeah.
You just use it. And all we know is a count of whether or not we got another download at most. And we don't track where you're coming from and where that download came from. We don't track who you are.
So you gave some examples for like in your home of like why you'd want zero trust. But what if you're like an enterprise? So you talked about like baby monitors, but what?
Oh, if you're an enterprise, I mean, like if you're an enterprise, especially, well, it depends on the kind of company you are. I guess because I come from like working with a lot of like offline environments, then that's kind of like a more like sites. A no-brainer. Yeah. Power grids, things like that. But like, let's say that you're not that type of a business. Let's say that you're a SaaS company, and let's say that you finally passed like $10 million in annual recurring revenue. If you still haven't passed $10 million in annual recurring revenue, there's probably a lot of like enforcement that you're not really thinking about yet. You're probably still just trying to get certain things figured out, or it could just mean that it's not a goal of yours to drive past a certain. I mean, people have different goals. Yeah. Some folks are not trying to just like scale relentlessly. And some of you are trying to scale from your 10 million annual recurring revenue stage all the way up to something like 50, million. It can be really hard to go from 10 million annual recurring revenue to 20 million annual recurring revenue. That's one of the things that I like a lot of my career spent time with. So I spend a lot of time helping companies with things like exit planning, acquisitions. I've done all sides. I've been part of companies trying to become acquirable, to get acquired. And so anytime you have to do that, you have what's called due diligence. Due diligence says that people have to trust your business. That's all that means. And that also means like if you're like a SaaS company and you're handling sensitive data, and you might be handling credit card information about what people are doing, that's not information that you really want to get out. And also, you don't want to be held liable for that because then lawsuits are coming your way. So how do you avoid those lawsuits? How do you make sure that things are running seamlessly? And then when you start hiring more and more and more and you can't manage it all centrally anymore, this lets you continue to manage your growing out of control business so that you can continue to manage it well. And so one of the things that we're going to work with is for companies trying to get a risk assessment. This can be a really helpful way to really start to tighten up your business, and it'll help you identify your assets. It'll help you build the risk assessment. It'll help you understand how to make better decisions for your business so that you can, focus on real game changers.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, we're going to focus on for companies who are trying to just get a foundation. If you want to work with MSPs, if you want to be a vendor, you usually benefit from something like SOC 2. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're going to work on helping people establish SOC 2 readiness. And this is an enforcement technology. So that means that you can enforce that SOC 2 with this, and it will help enforce that so that you're not doing everything the old school, completely manual way. Hey, it's like 2025. We don't need to do things like it's 2010 anymore.
Yeah.
And like I was doing certain, like dealing with financial audits in like 2010 because that was like part of my degree and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of my degrees is I studied business. But anyway, really boring. It'll help you do really boring stuff, and it'll help you stay out of hot legal water. And basically, the stuff that we provide with our intelligence feed is mostly things around helping your business, with technical challenges around scaling your business, meeting compliance, meeting regulations, surviving due diligence, being ready for anything that is legal in nature or an audit or taking on a new type of compliance or expanding your market.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to expand your market more globally, you end up incurring more markets. I do international business, so I'm used to working with, I don't know, regulations around the world. This
Yeah.
is nothing new for me. So I just been doing this for years, and so there you go. It's with all these things that I do. Normally, it's really hard for me to get breaks if I'm doing things like everyone ends up needing me if I don't protect my time.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, this is partly my way of getting a lot of my own time back because I find that my time is so high in demand that I'm just like capped out. Like
Right.
I need people to be able to do what I can do without being me and having my background. Maybe you have dramatically less experience than I do. And so for me, it alleviates the challenges of hiring because hiring can be a nightmare where you try someone out for 3 months and then it just doesn't work out. It's common. And
Yeah.
then you got to start all over again. And maybe you don't have 6 months to go through a bunch of different hires to figure out certain things, and because you're trying to get ready for something. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's business is complicated.
It is.
So, anyways, that's
Yeah.
why it's really here to help us like solve serious, significant employment challenges for really, really deeply complex work. So that also when we do bring in people, they're more capable of doing things that without having a decade's worth of experience. So it just makes anyone we hire dramatically more capable. Anyone who we support, unless they generally know the things I know, more capable. And I mean, I don't know if someone can't pay over $200,000 a year for people who do the types of things that I do. Good luck. And so it's like if I don't want to have to like come up with $200,000 annually every time I need certain types of things.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I don't need someone to help me for a whole year. Maybe I just need some support for like a 3-month project. I need a way to get the help that's going to help my business thrive.
Yeah.
So this is also for me, hey, because I wanted a more self-driving business, something that kind of does things for me, where I'm not just like trapped in it, and also like maybe talk about your side of it. Is like it's pretty common that you're doing things and you need me for something. Is that?
Yeah, I
How does
mean,
that
and
work for you?
that's another aspect of this is we're working on building out, this digital twin, which essentially allows me, if I again come into a gap with like some engineering knowledge or something, because again, I've obviously learned a ton in the last few years in this space, but my technical background is, not as vast as NATO's, obviously. I have like a degree in English, so this is all something that I've come to like later in my career and just kind of learned by doing. So there are a lot of things that I have limitations for. And I always tell Nathan, like, I can't do this without you. Like, I can't, I don't know I can't figure this out without you, kind of a thing. And, the hope with some of this is that, I don't need him for everything because he can impart his knowledge into his digital twin, and then when I need help, I can go query the digital twin first instead of being like, Nathan, I need you.
Yes, it gives everyone in our company dramatically more autonomy. And there's stuff that I don't know that she knows too.
And
And I run into the same thing
yeah,
where I'm like, I can't do this without Laura. And then maybe, obviously we work together, so there's times when we're both around, but like she needs to be able to go
yeah,
and do things too. Like maybe you just need to go and get a break. Maybe you
yeah.
just need to go on a vacation
Well,
for
and same for
yourself.
you.
Like,
Like you need breaks too. Most of the work you do is so like cognitively like intense that I also like sometimes feel bad because I'm like, oh, he's been working all day or like delivering these, doing whatever, working for a client or whatever it might be, and I'm just like, but I also need your help, and so the intention of some of this is to also alleviate some
yeah,
of our work and make our lives a little bit easier. And honestly, I think that is the whole purpose of AI. Like I did a podcast for our YouTube channel a couple of years ago, and I talked about this. I can't remember who it was, but some author in the 60s was talking about technology and how like technology was going to make all of our lives easier, so that by like the time we hit like the year 2000, none of us would be doing any stupid labor. We'd all just be doing fun, creative things. And obviously, that was a pipe dream that didn't quite occur because we do live in like a capitalist society, and there's a lot of implications to that. But at the same time, it's like why can't we use the AI to make our lives easier and to do less of the cognitive work, so that we can save our minds to do the more fun and creative things that we actually enjoy a little more than the hardcore dev stuff, which not that that's not fun at times, but it can also be very draining and
yeah.
exhausting.
And like it's hard
Especially
to
after
be
even doing it for like 10 hours in a day, and you're just
Mhm.
like, oh, my face is melting off.
Yeah, and it's hard to be a good decision maker. When you're trying to do things all on a lean lean budget.
Yeah.
You gotta maybe sometimes don't always have like the biggest team and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, companies are leaning up. I
Yeah.
think one thing I see a lot of, which I'm kind of thankful for, kind of that we do our own thing, is like with all these layoffs. Not only are people out of work, but then the people who aren't out of work are becoming more overworked, is what I see happening a lot, where it's like, hey, just because you got rid of all these people doesn't mean that the work is magically gone. And so then it's like people are having to like work more hours depending on where you are, and all these things. And you could just be scared of all the new technologies and just be so terrified that all the stuff's happening. But like, I mean, I'm just going to bluntly put it out there. It's like you're more likely to create some sort of positive influence, uh, by like helping people understand how to use AI safely, instead of just being scared of it and being like, no, AI bad, AI scary, I stay away from all AI. Like some people were saying some things like the amount of energy AI uses, blah 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 blah. And while that's true, if you self-host things, put your own power meters on things, you can actually like our stuff, because it's self-hostable. We found out that you can shrink the data set to run even on like the small, like a Raspberry Pi with like 16 gigabytes of RAM. You can solar power it. So I mean, if
You
it's
can make
really
it
such a
very
big deal,
sustainable.
you can quite literally. I mean, there's shout out to Todd Byers. You can have entire solar data centers.
Yeah.
This is not new. I think people don't know that these things exist, so they're like scared, and then they think that everyone has to do things the destructive way. You could do things the destructive way, or you could be part of the innovation to say society doesn't have to go downhill. And
And
hey,
let's,
if bad people create bad robots, why can't someone else create good robots to help fight back too?
mhm.
And so it's like you're not going to stop certain things. So you can either be a part of the the fear and shake and worry, or you can be a part of the solution.
One
So
of our
yeah.
commenters said that it's breathtaking.
We've
You're
been
clearly
working
an
very hard on
engineer.
it.
We thank you for coming by and talking to us.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's important to us. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, you can tell we're
we've
pretty
been doing this for
passionate
so long.
and excited about this. So
Yeah, and it's like these are. I've had some of these ideas for so long. I remember when we were thinking like, oh, zero trust cockpit. We're gonna make a zero trust cockpit just for people's AI. We started actually developing for AI in 2019 with Jetson Nanos.
yep.
And actually, if you go and look at Notia Point and you go and look, you'll see that it has this thing called AI in the cloud. We actually used to sell a small developer size because we didn't want to pay for AWS, so we built these small desk size developer kits, and so we put our compute on the desks of our developers. Other people scale by, oh, you just give them some cloud compute and then you're paying a monthly bill. We were like, I don't want to deal with the billing. And
let's just buy a $50 Raspberry Pi.
yeah,
out that
and
way.
then just mail it out and then tell them to plug it into the internet. Hey, wow,
And then we,
all
of
of a
course,
sudden it
had
works.
some more powerful nodes, like you said, than the
Yeah, we had
Jetson
more powerful
Nanos
ones.
as well. But
and we would cluster them. So we had clusters where it was like, what's a Jetson Nano have? It has GPU, Maxwell GPU for some of the ones that we're using, and then Vega for another one. So if you've heard of a Jetson AGX, that's got a Vega chipset on it. If you ever see a Jetson Nano, that's got little Maxwell chips. If you develop AI, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I don't know if you develop AI. No, but anyways, really though, we're all about hardware first. Everything we do stems from making the hardware work for you because everyone else is so focused on the shiny front end anyway. Everyone else is so focused on the shiny. But developers need entire IT teams and people to help make these environments available so that you can just focus more on the development. Because if you're an engineer and you're trying to like build software, you shouldn't have to be both your IT. You can be, but like if you're on a time crunch and you don't have unlimited time and your skill set is in more like advanced writing like Golang and Python applications, then do you really need to learn IT and have your own data center? Our philosophy is no. So we're like, why don't we just automate that layer away so that I don't know if you were a Google engineer laid off from Google, you probably have so many skills that if someone could just get you this far, you could run wild horses.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how we see it.
Yeah. Well, cool. I'm really glad we got to show this off tonight. Do we have any other like closing thoughts we want to put out there? I feel like we talked about
it's a lot. I think the only other thing that's interesting is now, this is something I'll say, is we made it so that you can integrate any sim of choice, and we put an open source one just in there for people who want to know what sim is, or if you don't have a big complex environment. I thought it was set up. Oh, maybe I didn't turn it on. Well, that's a whole nother thing that we'll have to show next.
Day, yeah.
Is so I don't know. I come from the observability arena, and so I do all observability, and then on my personal time I do security observability. That's just a personal thing for me. I love security tools. I love sim technology. So you can integrate. Actually, I can show the integration here. It lives in here. Dashboards. So I primarily work with elastic-based technology. So if you're using an elastic-based sim, you can jack that right into the whole ecosystem. And this is maybe the introduction of something that we'll show next time. Let's see.
Yeah.
View configured data sources. So I don't need to go too deep into this, but most of the sim technologies that I work with are based on Elasticsearch. Anyway. So, if you're using one of those, then you can just integrate that data right in here, and your AI friend helper is able to even go and read through that data. So if you're trying to have it help you with some like threat intelligence work that you're doing, it will literally help you with some threat intelligence work, because that's the kind of work that I do myself. I've been doing that type of work for, once again, over a decade. It's been a long time. I started working with like malware analysis all the way back in 2008. So you can actually use this to do malware analysis. It has a full forensics analysis kit. and it actually generates this forensics data by default from the minute you deploy the SEC command. So if you go and take CloudJam and look at where it says that there's this SEC command and you go into all these resources, we're going to update the guidance to improve it. A lot of this is so new that we've just started documenting it. So we're trying to take everyone's feedback. And every time someone gives us feedback, you can join the DevSecOps dojo to talk to us directly anytime. We're there every single day. And also, thank you for those who have given us a lot of feedback with CloudJam.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
You know, hopefully it's been helpful to see like your requests and feedback show up in CloudJam. And that's how we know what's helpful is your feedback.
Yeah.
So when you don't give us feedback, we can guess. And then when you give us feedback, if you're like, I wish, I like, I don't like, and then give us all that feedback, then we're like, oh, okay, so this is good. This would help, and scrap that. You know, and so anyways, this comes from that. So anyways, that's I think we've shown it all.
Yeah, I think so.
That's it.
I think that's
For now.
A good note to end on. For now.
For now.
Come back soon and we'll be, obviously showing off more in the near future.
Home of the self-driving business. It is a flywheel, and it is meaning that you do have to give it those initial pushes. If you've never heard of a flywheel business, Google a flywheel business. We create the self-driving component with a flywheel model. It's not like a one-and-done magic. We don't do magic here. Magic is not a part of our ecosystem.
That's right.
It might feel like magic, but it's science. We are scientists first.
That's right.
So, anyways.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in and for stopping by. And it's been fun. It's been fun showing this off.
Yeah, and thanks for watching. It's
We'll see you
first time
next
we've really
time.
been able to